All right, early morning this time, dropping my daughter off at Crew. It's a commitment, man. It's a commitment for the kids. It's a commitment for the parents. Because when your kid can't drive yet, you get to drive around. And we don't live on the shore, so we got to drive to the boathouse. But it's cool. That's kind of why I'm doing these videos, because I've got some time and figured I might try and get some thoughts out. Whatever. So today I've got a story, and I think it's a very important illustration of, I think, how life works. I don't know. I'd like to think life works this way. So do you remember that movie back in the mid-90s, Donnie Darko? Awesome movie. I saw it, I think it was on like HBO or something. I didn't know about it when it was in the theater, but then I saw it and I was like, this is awesome. I loved it. Because it had all the cool things that I was into. Like time travel, pretty much that, time travel, fate, free will. It was a little spooky, a little edgy, it was cool. But there's the scene where Patrick Swayze is like the motivational speaker who comes to the school. And his whole thing is, there's only like two sides to any situation. And that's love or fear. Not love and hate, but love and fear. The idea being hate is actually a fear-based emotion. And it was like funny, you know, at first when you see the movie, but the more I digested that, I believe that's the truth. There's either acting out of love, a place of pure intention, understanding, empathy. It's a very positive emotion, or fear, which is the antithesis of all of those things. And it's one that closes you up. And it's a negative emotion. So I do think that every path in life is rooted in one of those two bases. So my best buddy has been, you know, he's very successful. He's a corporate America jockey, just like me. And he's moved around from company to company a bit. And I think, you know, we all have the drive where we want to reach that next rung of the ladder, just constantly moving ahead, even if it's not in our best interest. Like, just reach for the next thing, because that's what you're supposed to do. And you keep reaching until there's nothing to reach for anymore. And this is something I've been struggling with lately, in terms of, you know, it's getting to be about that time. I've been in my role for about 3 years, and it's like, now's the time to start kind of leveraging that and reaching for the next thing, etc. But I just don't have the energy in me. So anyway, that's a whole other video. It's a whole other story. But so my buddy has been in that place, and on top of it, the company that he works for have been terrible to him. They brought in a new boss to his boss, and this guy came in from another company and basically kind of imposed some, you know, very negative aspects to the culture, and people started leaving. He kind of overwrote my buddy's promotion. So he was already set up to have a promotion at the end of last year. This guy came in, he just got hired, and said, nope, not giving him the promotion. You know, he's got to prove this to me, even though he already proved it to his previous boss, the person who decided. So there's like some real negative, you know, some headwinds there. And as you'd understand, it pissed my buddy off. And he, you know, things devolved and got worse and worse, and started looking for jobs, knowing that he'd want to move to another role. And so in the past couple of weeks, he got an offer from another company in a role that is, you know, commensurate, different industry, but similar type of role. And we're talking about it, and he's like, I don't know, man, like, I can't wait to stick it to this guy, the guy from my company. I can't wait to tell him that I'm leaving. I can't wait to resign. I can't wait to like rub it in his face that he's got no one else who can do what I do. He's like, the only other person who knew the exact way to do the things that I did there left already. So I'm it. And when I leave, they're going to be screwed. And, which is totally understandable. That's a very human feeling, a human desire. So got this other offer. The offer came in, and it was for a significant amount less than his current compensation. And I was like, oh, how do you feel about that? And he's like, nah, I don't know. It's, it's a huge cut. I'm like, well, if your current job is so bad that you can't stay there and you have to leave to preserve yourself, then absolutely, you got to go for it. And just take care of yourself, and then, figure out the money later. And then I'm like, what's your gut telling you? And he said, I think my gut's telling me say no to the offer. And I was like, well, there's your answer. Just go with your gut. And so we both busy people, kind of go on with our lives. And he said, well, and I've got another interview where I've got another offer I'm expecting next week. This is last week. So he was expecting another offer to come through. So we don't talk for a couple days, or we don't talk meaningfully for a couple days. And then yesterday he texted me. He's like, I resigned today, bro. I was like, whoa, what's the details? I'm thinking like this other offer came in and gave him the money he wanted, and it all worked out. And he's like, so I was like, what are the details? And he said, he's like, it was really weird. When I told him, he acted like this is what he expected. Like his plan was working out. Like the plan he had all along was coming to fruition, that I was resigning. And I was like, oh man. So I was like, where are you going, man? And he's like, says the name of the place that offered him less money. And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry, man. Like I didn't know what to say, because here was somebody I know he took that job because he was counting on the payoff being spiting his employer. And if we boil it all down, I think it came out of a place of fear, a negative place, right? It's a place where he felt like he was being taken advantage of. He was afraid he was being taken advantage of. So making a decision rooted in that feeling, he chose to take the job that he didn't really want. I'm sure of it. Did not really want that job. Less money, so it was imposing more difficulty on him. And counting on that spite being the driving force and the payoff. And he didn't get that. And I really believe that's how it works in this life. If you act out of those negative emotions, the payoff isn't there. And it's a real shame. And I feel terrible for him, because he's a good guy. He's a good person. But like all of us, right? He's susceptible to those feelings of fear and those negative emotions. And just to wrap all this up, right? I firmly believe we are being fed these emotions. If you watch any aspect of mainstream media, of TV, of the news, it's just fear-based. It's fear-mongering. And I feel like we've been conditioned to operate out of that place. Now, if you're into all of the paranormal, metaphysical, conspiratorial stuff, and you know about the reptilians and Loosh and all that, like, it makes sense, right? And we can get into that in other places. Comment if you want to talk more about that. But like the fact of the matter is, from the human experience, he imposed more difficulty on him. Now, maybe the other job works out great, and maybe it's a breath of fresh air and he can excel there and the money thing's not an issue, but sure. But at least in the immediate future, I feel bad because his feelings of, the triumph of resigning was spoiled. So just a little relevant anecdote from real life that I think ties into all this. And I hope everyone out there can operate out of love and focus on the love, and remember that fear doesn't help you, doesn't serve you, and pass that love along and keep doing what you're doing. And everyone take care. See you next time.